Welcome to another Countryside Adventures video. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive review on the Pelican Air 1745 bow case. If you're an archery enthusiast like us, you know the importance of a good case to keep all your gear safe and in good condition. So let's see if the Pelican 1745 Air bow case can live up to the Pelican reputation. So Colin and I got the Pelican 1745 Air bow cases on Christmas of 2021. So that marks 3 years of utilizing two Pelican Air bow cases. And additionally, we have some friends also using these bow cases. So I feel like we have more than sufficient experience to really give you a deep dive tour and evaluation of the Pelican Air bow case and see if it fits your needs and if it's something that you're interested in spending money on. Now, this is not a brand deal in any way, so we did pay for these cases right out of our own pocket. Now, with that said, at the time of this video, the Pelican Air bow case is $493.95 on Amazon, and there is an affiliate link down below if you decide that this case meets all your needs. So the Pelican Air bow case comes in one color, and that is the basic Pelican black, and it is sort of a textured plastic finish, and the advertised weight from Pelican is 23.15 pounds. Now, obviously, that weight is going to go up significantly once you get this thing loaded up with gear, but about 24 pounds is going to be your average weight as far as the empty case goes. Now, the advertised exterior dimensions of the Pelican Air bow case is going to be 48.7 length, 19.4 wide, and a depth of 8.7 from our table up to this surface. So let's grab a tape measure real quick and just do a quick verification that we are in the ballpark for those dimensions. All right, so if we go into the end, we'll go all the way to the outside of the handles at each end. And so if we go all the way out there, we're probably looking at somewhere around 48.5, 49 inches, just under 49 inches, something like that. So maybe even like 48.75, something like that. So that's fairly accurate with what we had. I'm gonna make sure that this handle is pressed all the way down. I'm going to go all the way to the outside where our locks latch, and we're probably looking at somewhere around 21.25. And then for our depth, we're probably looking at somewhere around 8.25. So I would say that's fairly accurate for their estimates. Now the interior dimensions are going to be 44 inches by 16.8 and 17.9 for the interior. So once we break this thing open, we'll kind of go over what the interior consists of, but I did want to go ahead and share that with you in the dimensions really quick. Now, in typical Pelican fashion, this case is actually built like a tank. So it's advertised to be crush proof. I don't know to what extent that's crush proof. I'm fairly sure if you ran over it with that tank, it probably wouldn't hold up to it. But I have to say that this thing is pretty indestructible. Holding up to 3 years of use, and there is absolutely no signs of any sort of exterior degradation. So I'm very happy with that at this point. All the way around the perimeter of the base and the opening lid is a weather seal, so it is actually watertight. So no worries about water conditions. Colin and I have actually packed these in the bed of our truck, and we do have a bed cover, but the bed is not absolutely 100% waterproof, and we've never had a concern about any water penetration inside of these cases. So the fact that it does have a waterproof seal is actually a fantastic addition to the Pelican Air bow case. Now at each end of the Pelican Air bow case, it does have large handles, and the handles are the same size. I do like the size of the handles. They make for a good grip, especially if you have larger hands. I do like the handles at each end, and additionally at this end of the bow case, there is a set of wheels. So all you have to do is fold down that handle, lift this handle up, and you can roll the Pelican bow case with ease. So I do like that. And then over here at the front of it, it does have another large handle. I'll flip that up. And so you can see that it has another center large handle, and it's well balanced. No issues about it tipping one side to the other. As long as you spread your gear out evenly, no worries as far as balance. So this handle is actually a great addition, and it does lock in that position, so it'll only go one way. Now, one of the things that I do want to point out with those handles is when we first purchased these bow cases, they were fairly stiff to get up into position. And so they've definitely eased up a lot over the last 3 years. But I have to say that is kind of a positive in a lot of ways, because you know, if you load this thing up in the back of your truck or SUV, whatever it may be, you don't want those handles getting snagged on something and kicking up in the, out position. So I do like the fact that it does take a little bit of effort to get them out. And just know that once you purchase this case, it'll take a little bit of time to get them to relax a little bit, and not have to put just an absolute ton of effort to get them in the out position to move the case around. Now on the interior or the palm area of the grips, you can see that it does have this rubber texture here, and then the outer perimeter of it is plastic. So I do like the fact that it also has that rubber texture on the grip area, and it's done a really good job of holding up. So at this point, the rubber hasn't broke down in any capacity. So I do like the rubber grips also on the handles. Now around the perimeter of the Pelican bow case, it does have a total of 6 latches, and the latches just have a center button, and they just flip up like so to latch and unlatch the bow case. Now these 2 latches do have built-in locks, and the Pelican case does come with keys, and these are TSA aircraft approved. So you are totally safe to fly with this case. So no worries there. You can actually lock and unlock this case with those independent latches. Now additionally, along the front perimeter is also going to be 4 eyelets, and those eyelets are reinforced with metal, and so you could just slide a padlock through whichever one of those or all of them if you want to and lock it up, so you actually have an extra layer of protection and security. So absolutely no worries about security with this bow case. Or you can also use those eyelets to tie this bow case down if you needed to, whether that be in the back of a truck or however you're transporting this. And also additionally, if you can't use those for tie downs, at each end there is going to be eyelets, and so those eyelets will allow you to strap this bow case down, 2 on this end, 2 on this end, and that way you can strap down your bow case by the ends if you need to. And so there is plenty of options here as far as security and holding down your bow case for transport. Now this is my personal Pelican bow case, and Colin's is sitting over to the side, and I want to share with you what is absolutely one of my favorite features about the exterior of the Pelican bow case. And I know this probably seems extremely trivial, but for anyone that has ever traveled with multiple bow cases, you know that this can be an absolute lifesaver. And so the fact that you can basically interlock the bow cases and stack them is an absolutely fantastic feature. I wish other bow case manufacturers would take this into consideration, and I get that you probably can't because of certain designs and cost restraints and whatnot. But Colin and I have actually stacked these bow cases 3 high before with ours and a friend of ours. We can put these in the back of the truck. We can put these in the back of an SUV. There's no concerns about like tapping the brakes or running up to a red light that changed quickly, anything like that, in cases go flying or sliding around the back of the truck. So I'm going to stack these up real quick and just kind of show you what I'm talking about. And so normally what Colin and I do when we head out to go hunting is we basically stack all of our clothes, any food items, whatever it may be, in our small RV camper. And then the cooler, if we have to take a generator, whatever that may be, gets locked up in the bed of the truck. And then so we can keep our bows secured and make sure that nothing happens to them, because that is obviously one of the most important items if you're going on a hunting trip, is to have a bow that functions. Is we will normally just flip up the back seat since it's just the 2 of us often, and we can stack both cases in the floorboard in the back seat area of our F-150, and they have never rattled, they've never made a noise, they've never been annoying riding down the road. So that is absolutely a feature that I am very, very appreciative of when it comes to the Pelican bow case. So let me grab this bow case real quick and let's stack them. Okay, so I'm going to go off to the side here, and you can see that I've just kind of got these catty corner from each other. But basically how this works is on the bottom of the bow case is you have these square cleats, and then on the front side of it, I'm going to flip his over here so you can see, you have these plastic grooves that those square cleats will go down into. And so there's basically 4 sections of that. So they basically just go in like so, and you can see that it really doesn't go anywhere. It's nothing just life altering secured, but the fact that you can stack these in a truck and they don't move any more than that, it's really fantastic in my opinion. I know it's an absolutely small, trivial thing, but it's made all the difference in the world with a couple of us traveling. And like I say, we've actually stacked these 3 tall in the back of a truck and had no issues. So the interlocking stacking feature on the Pelican bow case is absolutely one of my favorite things. Again, I know it doesn't really mean a lot if you're only carrying 1 bow case, but if you have multiple, it's an absolute lifesaver. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the not sunshine and rainbows about this bow case as far as the exterior goes. And I'm going to include this on the exterior side of it because it mainly goes to the latches and closing the lid on the base of it. And so really quick, I'm going to unlatch this. So one of the biggest issues and complaints that Colin and I have had about these bow cases is the fact that oftentimes when the case is opened up and you go to shut the case for whatever strange reason, it doesn't line up properly. So like that, the locks don't latch. So basically you may get a couple of them latched just like this one did, and then all of a sudden one won't latch. So basically what you're stuck doing is you open it up and you kind of bounce this thing around and you try to get it all lined up like so, and then it still doesn't latch, and then you go to close it and you check your straps and there's no straps in it, and you shake it around some more, and then all of a sudden everything latches like so. I have no idea why it does that, but it's really super annoying. So my thing about that is, at a premium price for a premium product, I get really annoyed by paying a lot of money for something that I want to be that premium product, and then I have to set and close the lid over and over and over to get the latches to latch. Especially when you're in the field and time matters. Let's say you're trying to get to a processor or a place that closes or whatever it may be. And so time matters, and just messing with that really gets to be old. And so that is really my biggest complaint about the exterior functions of the Pelican Air bow case. All right, so before we move on to the interior of the Pelican Air bow case, if any of this information is helping you out whatsoever and you haven't already, please do me a huge favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and really quick, let's go ahead and check out the interior of the Pelican Air bow case. And then at the end of this video, I'll give you my thoughts on the pros and cons of the Pelican Air bow case. All right, so again, this is my personal case, and so I'm going to open this up, and you're going to basically see exactly how Colin and I pack my bow case, and his is absolutely almost identical to this, and we've configured this thing a lot of different ways. So the way I'm going to open this up and the way you're going to see it is exactly how this case would be packed if Colin and I were going to head out on a, say, 2 to 5 day whitetail hunt here in Texas. And we've tried a lot of different configurations, and so I hope this will help you out and kind of give you some ideas what may work for you, or if you want to make some changes or alterations to your setup. It just has sort of this, I guess, like a felt material with a area of, it's not really padding, it's just basically space between the outer case and this padding, the felt material there. So it does have some room, so if it takes a hard hit from the outside, it doesn't penetrate all the way through. Now, obviously included with the case, like we talked about a little earlier, are going to be the keys for the locking latches, and you can see the lock cylinders there on the latches, and they are at each end. Now, before I begin with what's included with the Pelican Air bow case as far as the initial purchase, I want to go ahead and just say up front that this case is extremely modular, and so I'm going to use the word molly, and it's not really a molly, but I'm just going to use that because it's basically this webbing style, and it's kind of a hook on the latch or the plastic strap, and then it has these kind of eyelets sewn into it. And so you could basically, if I wanted to move this pouch up, down, if I wanted to put it in the middle, if I wanted to secure it down somewhere low, I could basically move this thing in 100 different places if I wanted to. So it's extremely versatile to an extent, and I'll say extent because you'll see the rest here in a moment. But again, it has that same loop style right here. And so you can see that you can move a pouch here, or you can move your arrow holders to the top of this, however you want to do it. So there's a lot of different options. And so what's included with it are going to be these two pouches. So one here and one down there. And just to give you an idea, that pouch is about 10 inches long, about 5 inches wide, and the depth is about 3.5, 3 3/4, something like that. It just has some zipper pulls on it, and I just chose to put them on the outside edges, and Colin also did the same thing. So it comes with the pouches. You're also going to come with foam blocks for 6 arrows, and it also has this cover. And so this cover is actually sewn in. It does not come out. And it also has foam blocks down the bottom. And so those foam blocks are basically what's going to secure your bow on the outer perimeters of it. And it also is going to have 2 more foam blocks for the center. So you're going to have a total of 4 foam blocks for your bow, the pouches, the arrow holder, and then also you're going to have a total of, and I'm just going to call these kind of a military style bungee. And so it's a really solid bungee. It has 6 of them, and you just pull to tighten, and it has a hook. And so this is basically used to secure your bow or whatever gear you want to, also via the same webbings that are down in the bottom of the case. So that is basically all the gear that's going to come with the Pelican Air bow case. And so let's break this down real quick, and I'll show you kind of what I've done, what I've changed, and how I've set mine up. So literally you're going to see this the way it's packed up to go hunting. Normally what will happen is we will go ahead and put 5 to 6 practice arrows with fill points just to take hunting with us. And it's just to kind of set up a small target. That way if we're hunting out of an elevated blind or something like that, just because of elevation changes, uphill, downhill, whatever it may be. We always like to take a few shots. So normally what will happen is our practice arrows will go in these blocks. Now the straps down here at the bottom section of the lid are really for an arrow tube is what they're designed for, like an Easton arrow tube to protect your arrows. And so just experimenting around over the last several years, what Colin and I have figured out is you can see that our arrows have their mounting point here and down there. And so we use the tight spot quivers. And so the fact that the tight spot can be just disconnected from the bows, and if the quiver was connected to the bow, it would be way too tall for the lid to close properly. So what we have figured out is the fact that we can just basically use these straps, and you can see they're not very tight, and this is in no way affecting their arrows. We can put our quivers here. We keep our practice arrows up here. And that way our broadheads are inside of the quiver hood. And so there's not a chance of anyone, getting poked, getting cut, poking a hole through any kind of sort of gear or covers, anything like that. So that is how we've ended up using the straps that are actually intended for an arrow tube. Colin and I will normally carry 3 releases. We both use the same release. So there's one in his case. And then also we have 2 here. And the reason why I say 3 is just in the event that one of them fails, we have a backup if we're in the middle of nowhere. And then we have a small bag, and you can see that we have the keys, 2 sets of keys for our locks, string wax, and a small pocket knife. So that is what I keep on that side. On this side, for old guys, just a plastic zip top freezer bag with fog on so that I can clean glasses, sunglasses, whatever it is. And then also additionally, in the bow cover pouch, the 4 extra called tactical bungees. 2 of them are actually holding the bow down. So definitely modular, no doubt about it. And then last but not least, keep a small pack of batteries that fits great in there for our bow sights, because we do have small lights on our sight just to light up the pins. And then for our bow cover, it's super simple. It just has pinch to release clips. So you can just basically lift up on that, and it will loosen, pinch it, comes right loose. And so I'm just going to flip this up and just do one. You can see. And that basically stays in position like that. You can see that we have our straps holding the bow in position. Here's our foam block. So we have one here, 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 and down there. Those are the foam blocks that Pelican provided to keep your bow secured in place. The bottom of the bow case is the same felt type material. So you have basically a space between the case and that felt. So I do like that. Now again, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. I'm going to go over what is the downside to the interior of the Pelican 1745 bow case. And that is the fact that for our stabilizers, Colin uses a little bit longer stabilizer since he likes that, since he's got a little bit shorter axle. But for me, I use a 10-inch Mountain Series AAE stabilizer. Down on that end, I have a 6-inch stabilizer. And then we also both use the Hogfather dovetail mount sights. And we like to use the last mounting position of those sights to stretch it out as far as we can so that we have a good sight ring from our peep around that sight. And so obviously I get it. There's only so much real estate to go around and so much space. You can only make this case so big. I totally understand that. But my issue, or I guess it's really more just an annoyance, if you will, with the interior is if I'm paying a premium price for what is perceived to be an absolute premium quality product, I have a hard time the fact that I had to take foam blocks from another project that I was working on with a rifle case, and I took 2 of them, and I'll just kind of slide this up. And so I used basically hook and loop tape or Velcro, made 2 blocks, and then Velcroed it down to the bottom of the case. And so I could put my stabilizers on each end, and also Collins the same way, and put our dovetail mount sights there. That way that, I can just basically unscrew this, break it down, and put everything away. Now over time, this has worked out great. Basically, I can just close this. You can see that it covers my stabilizers. I need to cut that foam out a little more, but you get the idea. And so I can just basically pull this down, clip it, and pull it. And that isn't going anywhere. So we've been using that way for a couple of years now, and we've had absolutely no issues whatsoever out of it. It's just the fact that, paying a premium price for a premium product, it really gets annoying the fact that you have to turn around and use products from something else and end up modifying it to make everything work. Now, with that, if you're personally going to do something like this, I would just go down to something like Harbor Freight and get some super cheap, like pluck and pull foam, a block of foam like that, and come up with something if you have to. I wouldn't use anything expensive. I just happen to have this already laying around, so that's kind of what I started experimenting with. But my opinion is I think that Pelican should probably include just a couple of blocks or something like that of plug and pull foam. That way you can kind of tailor whatever you want to for your accessories that mount, unmount from your bow, because there's no way everything is going to just lay in there and fit magically. And so then the question becomes, what do you do with that stuff and how do you stow it? So that was my solution. It's just a block of foam. So Pelican, if you're listening, I think we probably should get some foam or something, some sort of accessory to make everything work together. That's just my thought, my opinion, but that's kind of how it's gone for us. So with that, let's do a quick recap on the pros and cons of the Pelican 1745 bow case. Now, obviously, this whole lid not lining up with the base thing is at the top of my list. And so these are really in no particular order, but when I think about something that just really annoys me about the Pelican Air bow case, it's the fact that it is a pain to close this thing sometimes because, well, just like that, now everything lined up, and the next time I open it and close it, it may not. So the fact that this thing is a little bit of trouble sometimes to get the lid to line up with the base and close can be fairly annoying. So lumping number 2 and 3 together, in my personal opinion, let's circle back to the interior of the Pelican bow case. And so number 2 is the fact that I've had to gather up extra material, take time, and basically cut out that foam material to go ahead and keep my attachable or detachable items and accessories for my bow safe and secure inside of the bow case. And so the reason why I'm going to say number 3 is also attached to that is the fact that if I'm paying a premium price for a premium product and what is absolutely perceived to be probably the best bow case or one of the best bow cases on the market, I really don't like the fact that I'm having to take time, money, and effort to go ahead and add to this bow case to make things work. Now, with that, it's really not a big deal. It wasn't over the top. It's not like it's some crazy super modification. But if I'm paying a premium dollar for a premium product, I really expect to have everything that I need ready to go to pack up my bow. Now the pros. Now these are in no order, but let's talk about the obvious one first. So the Pelican bow case is absolutely indestructible. I mean, this thing is as solid as it gets. So as far as the overall durability of the Pelican Air bow case, that is not an issue. So there is no concerns whatsoever with the durability quality of the Pelican bow case, and I think that sticks out. And that is an absolute huge pro for me. Now, the number 2 pro for the Pelican bow case is the modular ability of this bow case. So the fact that I can basically set my arrow blocks in the middle, or I can put them off to one side, or I can stack my pouches on top of each other, or I can attach my pouches to the bow divider or the bow padding, or whatever I want to do. Basically, the sky's the limit as far as that goes. I think the modularity and the individual customization of this bow case cannot be denied. And I think that is a huge plus for the Pelican bow case. So number 2 for me is the modularity and the ability to customize the interior of it. Now, I have to say that number 3 is my favorite. And again, this probably seems extremely trivial to someone that has never traveled with multiple bow cases. But for me, is the fact that these bow cases interlock when stacked. And again, we've stacked 3 of them and traveled with absolutely no issues. So the fact that I can stack these bow cases and I can roll up to a stop sign or I can pull up to a red light and I don't have to worry about plastic bow cases sliding across each other, ending up in the front seat, slamming the front of the truck, rolling over the back seat of an SUV, whatever it is, I can basically stack these cases up and I can drive from one end of the country to the other. They never make noise, they never shift, they never rattle. I really like the fact that these bow cases interlock and they are stackable. So for me, that is one of my absolute favorite features of the Pelican 1745 Air bow case. Now that we've gone over the obvious pros and cons of the Pelican Air bow case, and after 3 years of use, it begs the question, would I personally purchase the Pelican Air bow case again? And I have to say yes. So with the indestructible quality, I can stack it with the modularity. The pros far, far outweigh any cons with the Pelican Air bow case. And I have to say for myself, whether it be for Colin, my son, or for both of us, yes, I would absolutely go ahead and spend the $500 again, or right at $500 if you will, and pick up the Pelican Air bow case. I would have no issues with it. One of the things that I would obviously change is I would pick up some cheap pluck and pull foam instead of using the foam that I use to cut out for our attachments. That would be one thing that I would change about it. But other than that, I would absolutely make this purchase again, no problem whatsoever. So with that, listen, I really hope you got some good information out of this video, or I hope you just enjoyed hanging out with us. We have a ton of other videos with great information or just spending time outdoors, so please do me a huge favor, check out another video. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, we'll see you outdoors.